Do you wish you had more grow lights for starting your plants from seeds indoors? Have you drooled over expensive 3-tier light stands? So have I. Then someone loaned me a little publication called The Prairie Garden. The article Growing Under Lights by Mr. Tomato got me started. What follows is the step-by-step instructions for my own variation of Mr. Tomato's 3-tier light stand. Hello, this is Stephen from shortseasongarden.com, and I offer tips and tricks for gardening in any climate, but especially for short seasons like here in Zone 3 in Eastern Canada. So subscribe to my channel, click the notification bell, give my video a thumbs up and a comment. Check me out on social media, Short Season Garden, on Facebook or Instagram, or you can go to my website at www.shortseasongarden.com. Mr. Tomato recommended 2 1x6 cedar boards for each upright and 2 1x8 cedar boards for each shelf. I opted for spruce, which for me was cheaper. Since my local hardware store did not carry 1x8 spruce, I decided to buy 1x4 spruce strapping and used 4 pieces for each shelf. So I ended up purchasing 2 1x6 spruce boards 10 feet long and 8 1x4 spruce boards 10 feet long. For my version of the 3-tier light stand, you will also need 100 1.25-inch wood screws, 12 1/2-inch metal screws, 12 cup hooks, 12 cable clamps, 12 feet of chain. I repurposed chain from a discarded ceiling lamp, and 3 4-foot shop lights. I found some that were being discarded. The 2 10-foot 1x6 boards each needed to be cut exactly in half, leaving 2 5-feet pieces to be fastened together for each end. I used the 1x4 strapping for the shelves. I measured them at 51 inches to leave lots of room to install the 4-foot shop lights. Since my shelves were to be 4 boards wide, I needed 16 pieces in total. I was able to get 2 51-inch sections out of each 10-foot board with 18 inches left over. 4 of the 8 pieces left over were saved for bracing. The other 4 were used to make shelf supports. My 1x4 boards were actually only 3.5 inches wide, so the 4 together made a 14-inch shelf. I cut the 4 boards I planned to use as shelf supports to 14 inches in length. Then I used my table saw to rip them in half lengthwise, giving me 8 shelf supports, 4 for each side. Now it was time to fasten the 1x6 pieces together to form the 2 shelf ends. The boards were 60 inches long, so by the time I subtracted the bottom shelf support, the shelves needed to be roughly 19 inches apart. I laid 2 1x6 boards out side by side on the saw benches and marked a line at 21.5 inches and another at 40.5 inches from the bottom. Of course, a 1x6 board is actually only 5.5 inches wide, so the 14-inch shelves will be 3 inches wider than the end supports. I made a mark 1.5 inches from the end of each shelf support to mark the overhang. I laid out the shelf supports on the 2 1x6s, one at the bottom and one by each mark, and secured them with 1.25-inch screws. Using a board on its edge as a guide, I secured a shelf support for the top of the light stand. The whole process is repeated for the other end of the shelf. Now the two ends are finished. We now need to use the 16 pieces of 1x4 that we cut to 51 inches as shelves. Here it gets a little tricky if you are working alone. I started with one board at the top and one board at the bottom to hold things in place. Then I put one board for each shelf. You can save yourself a lot of guesswork by drawing lines on the outside of the end boards to mark where the screws should go. I also soon discovered that with dry wood it is important to pre-drill each screw hole to avoid splitting the wood. Now it is time to place the rest of the boards for each shelf and screw them all together. The four 18-inch pieces of leftover 1x4 will now be used as corner bracing. Cut both ends of each piece at a 45-degree angle. Then secure one at each corner of the shelf stand. Again, it is important to pre-drill before screwing. Now we need to turn our attention to the lights. Install two cup hooks above each shelf on the overhanging portion of the shelf above. Drilling a small pilot hole first will make the installation much simpler. Cut your 12 feet of chain into 12 sections, a foot long each. Now drill two pilot holes in each end of each shop light fixture and attach a piece of chain using one of the cable clamps and a metal screw. The lights are now ready to hang. Hang the lights by attaching the 4 chains to the cup hooks at each corner of the shelves. You can easily raise or lower each light as needed by selecting a different loop in each chain to fasten to the cup hook above. I decided to add aluminum foil between the light fixtures and the bulbs for increased illumination. While these DIY lights don't have the pizzazz of the fancy grow lights commercially available, they are more than sufficient for indoor seed starting for the home gardener. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and a comment, subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you in the next video.